Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great Minds Podcast. Everything happens for a reason, and we just ask why. My name is Uriah Gillespie.
And I'm Michael Haseth.
And we are here to answer the most burning questions about politics, philosophy, and psychology. And for those of you listening on Spotify, thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you enjoy the show. All right, so this week's episode, our first episode, is just simply titled Why. So just to let everyone know, this podcast is going to be about politics, philosophy, and psychology. It's going to be very free form. We're going to go on tangents. But we just thought it would be a good idea to do a podcast where we talk about this stuff because people might be interested in knowing.
I'm really good at talking, so.
Yeah. And I got to say, my co-host, Mike Haseth, is super smart, absolutely well-versed in philosophy and psychology, and knows a heck of a lot about politics too.
I wouldn't say any of that about myself, but we will see what happens here.
Okay.
I will talk about what I can talk about, but I'm no expert in anything here.
Well, neither am I.
I'm an expert at staying alive so far for 32 years, and that's about all I'm an expert in.
Hey, guess what? Me too. Shout out to all you 32-year-olds out there, 32 Club.
Yeah, you want to tell them the truth?
What truth?
You got your club is not quite the 32 Club.
Well, I mean, I am 32. I haven't turned 33 yet.
You're right.
This year.
You're right. You get to keep your hat in that bucket for a little bit longer.
Exactly. Don't age me before my time, buddy.
My bad.
Yeah.
You're close, though. I think you're a lot further on the 32 spectrum than I am.
I am. I turned 33 in literally like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I'm just silencing my phone so we don't get like a bunch of interruptions. All right. So yeah. I just want to say to everyone out there, everyone who sees this or is listening to it, that if you have questions about politics, philosophy, or psychology, please send them to us. Put them in the comments. Comments are probably the best place to put your questions. And who knows, we may pick your question and do it on another show. Yeah.
Yes.
I almost said another week, but I don't know if we're doing this weekly or monthly or what.
We're going to figure that out. Just like how the entire podcast is so far. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. Certainly not daily. Yeah. Certainly not.
Not daily, no. Does anybody do a daily podcast?
I'm sure there's people who do daily podcasts.
There has to be someone. Yeah.
I will say, as a YouTuber, I've tried a couple times to do daily videos on both my AfroX channel. Shout out to my AfroX channel. And on one of my smaller channels that didn't pan out. And dude, respect to everyone who does daily videos because the editing is horrible.
I would have to imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the speed that you have to get that stuff edited out too.
Then
you don't get a couple days to work on it. You get a couple hours. So
yeah. Yeah, no, it is not easy, especially if you're trying to do quality. All right. Yeah. Well, let's jump into one of our categories. let's talk about things that are happening in the news. I think it would be really cool, honestly, if on this show maybe every week we did a section of like in the news, or as me and one of my friends likes to call it, "What's Trump doing now?"
This is you could call this section Michael Blind Reacts because I'm probably not completely caught up to all the news. So let's see what we got going on here.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, to everyone listening, I will say that if you're right wing, like still watch, but this might not be the podcast for you. I will out and out say right here that I'm super left. And Michael, I'm pretty sure you said you're like in the middle or like non-political or non-party.
Yeah, this is gonna be very interesting. I wouldn't say that I'm with any specific party because I don't agree with either of them, but you know,
Hey, that gives us variety of
definitely
perspective.
yes.
Yeah. Good. All right. So gas is now more expensive than milk. What is up with that? Last time I saw, I get a lot of my news from Stephen Colbert, and on Stephen Colbert, he showed a stat that said that gas is now up to about $4 a gallon. So that is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, this is I mean, I wasn't buying gas, but it was kind of like this back in 2008, 9-ish, like right back when my parents had a Suburban that got 5 miles to the gallon, but definitely jumped up like 50 cents overnight sometimes,
Yeah.
Uh, gotta love dropping bombs and starting wars and with the people that control the spot that all of the oil that gets imported from that section of the world goes through.
Yeah.
The fun little thing right
Yeah.
there.
And I mean all of that stuff is horrible. So for people who may not know exactly what is going on, gas prices are jumping because oil is becoming scarce, and oil is becoming scarce because right now I would say America, but really the Trump administration is arguing and beefing pretty hard with the country of Iran. They recently blew up and killed the leader of Iran, the Ayatollah, and his son became the next Ayatollah. And so that's already a state of negotiation that is really just a no-go. And so the Strait of Hormuz is one of the biggest channels of oil in the entire world, and it is like right next to Iran. Iran controls it. And so they are attacking ships that are in the Strait of Hormuz that are transferring oil. And since oil is becoming scarce and Iran controls a large percentage of the world's oil, that is why the gas prices are currently going up. And I mean, it's hard to negotiate in that situation, but honestly, it is a war that could have been avoided. A lot of them are not even calling it a war, but it's a war that could have been avoided, and it's also a war that can be ended so easily if like pride wasn't involved, and trying to make America look like a big tough superpower, and things like that, and that really is the hard part of it. Right now,
How many wars don't involve pride though,
that is true.
Isn't that kind of like, I don't know of any wars where it was just purely logistical and they're like, you know what, we've got no real strong, hard feelings against you, but we're going to kill you for this for this benefit or tactic. I think it's often pride that drives people.
Yeah, that is very true. I will say that like, I'm sorry, I had my train of thought still going, and I kind of lost it there. But
Yes, I apologize. I kind of
no, that's totally okay. But I think yes, I think right now the biggest thing is just that the right side, the Republicans, have control over both the House and Senate right now, and so anything that like Trump wants to do is backed by them pretty immediately, and so it creates a dynamic where, in essence, since all of Congress is backing the president, that the president gets to, in essence, do whatever he likes as president, even if that does stuff like go against the Constitution and things like that. In essence, it is turning the executive and not judiciary, but what is the name of the
legislative branch?
Legislative. It's combining. It's in essence combining the executive and the legislative branch, so that really the only balance left in checks and balances is the judiciary system or the Supreme Court. And in some decisions in the recent past, the Supreme Court has even gone in on what Trump was doing. What is a really cool story that I just saw today is that Trump went to the Supreme Court, and he actually sat in on hearings when they were talking about getting rid of the 14th Amendment of birthright citizenship. And he's really trying to push for that so he can kick out what he considers more illegal immigrants. And in the news story, it said that they completely did not hear any of what his administration had to say. And he got so angry that after like 2 hours, he just stormed out of the Capitol building, just furious. So that is a very good story to hear. And it's good to know that the Supreme Court isn't completely like on his side.
Yeah, well, I mean, what kind of I can't think of legal argument they would have for getting rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be such an upheaval because then how do you even go about that? The number of people you're going to have to move out of this country would be so substantial. And I bet they could do it, but it
I
would
mean,
be
you'd
insane.
lose a
Can you
great amount
imagine?
of this country.
Yeah. Can you imagine losing people with birthright citizenship? That would be that's basically what like we were. You know how many people came here just specifically so that their kids could be like citizens and stuff?
Yeah.
From like,
well, and it wouldn't even be targeted at birthright citizenship. It would be targeted at people who don't have white
profiling.
skin. Yeah,
racial profiling. I understand, and I understand the. I apologize. I'm over here eating.
No, that's cool.
It would be. That's the ultimate end goal of what they're doing. But I'm curious how they would phrase it legally, because I know they can't just walk in there and say, "We're doing this to target specific racial profiles." They would have to at least come up with words to try and make that legal. Like, it's not going to stand just saying we don't like this color. That wouldn't work as a law. So I'm curious how they would try and approach it legally, even to make it go through in the first place.
Yeah.
Because that's a crazy concept right there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But yeah, that stuff is all super crazy that's going on with I think right now would be a good time. We're about 15 minutes into the podcast. I think now would be a good time to take a short ad read, if that's okay with you, Mike.
Yep.
All right.
Go for it.
All right. Do you mind being taken off for a minute?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Hey, everybody. How's it going? My name is Uriah Gillespie, but a lot of you may know me as Afro X, the creator and main face of the Afro X channel. If you are into anime, if you like anime, as you can see behind me, I'm a huge anime fan. You will love Afro X. If you want to find the channel, the best way is to go on YouTube, type in Afro X Anime, and one of my videos will most likely be one of the first results. Otherwise, you can go to www.youtube.com/AfroX-Stay Legendary. That is my name on there. There it is. www.youtube.com/AfroX-Stay Legendary. Otherwise, I believe it's a linked channel on this channel right here. So you can definitely go check that out. As for the things that I do on there, I do a lot of AMVs. I have nearly 90 AMVs that I've made. I have made a nearly complete guide to One Piece that is much shorter than the actual story. So if you want to catch up on One Piece, that's a great way to do it. If you like listening to radio adaptations, every week I do a radio adaptation of the newest One Piece chapter where I do voice acting along with my voice acting troupe called Anime Radio. So, and then every week I do an edited video of some sort. So there's tons of content to look through. I've made 860 videos and there is much, much more to come. So go check out Afro X and remember to stay legendary. And now back to the Great Minds podcast. Hey, Mike, welcome back.
Hello.
How is your snacking going?
It's going great over here.
Awesome. What are you snacking on?
I have a bag of Ritz Bits that I'm eating.
This podcast not sponsored by Ritz Bits, but we wish we were.
They can give me some money if they want to, but otherwise we're gonna have to bleep that out. It's sponsored. I'm eating generic generic food item number one.
Generic crackers.
It tastes like
we can't even say crack. I can't even say crackers.
I can say crackers.
You can say crackers. I can't.
These wonderful crackers.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, just to catch up, everybody, if you just jumped in or if you're coming back, we have been talking about the war in Iran and how it is affecting gas prices and everything that is going on with the judicial branch right about now. I think now would be an excellent time to transfer over to our philosophy department. And since we are talking about Donald Trump's great pride, why don't we talk about pride? And actually, I will say more.
That'd
talking
be more
about pride is more. Is going to be more about psychology. So let's hop into our psychology machine and talk about pride. Mike, what do you know about pride?
Well,
besides that it's a really fun festival that happens every year.
Yeah. because I mean that's a very nuanced and complicated thing, and it's a very broad topic there. So, what form of pride are we talking about? Because I think pride is kind of a spectrum. It can be pride can be your downfall, and it can be something that you need more of. Like there's the type of pride in somebody that is an arrogant pride that is maybe something that we would think is I don't know if it's undeserved or not, depending on who. I don't know where, talking about Trump specifically, it is sort of an arrogant pride. And then there's like the pride in yourself that, you should be proud of yourself and confident in yourself in the same breath. So, what part of pride are we talking about with him? Uh, and are we talking specifically about Donald Trump here? Because there was sort of the broader scope of just how we're linking pride to war, but that's a situationally dependent thing at the same time. So I guess what direction are we going here with pride?
I would say, well, I'd say we can look at every aspect of it. I mean, we certainly have time. If this podcast is supposed to be an hour, we're only at like 21 minutes. We are burning through this campfire quick. But okay. Starting off, my opinions on positive pride. I think positive pride is a great thing. Okay. I'm gonna go a bit metaphysical here, and I'm going to talk about one of my main practices that I do weekly. Weekly, I do a session of meditation. My meditation is a bit different from other people's, but my meditation is a musical meditation. I use music to help me meditate. And what's good to do in meditation, and what I do, is creating a sort of mind palace. And it doesn't have to be a palace. It can be like any kind of space imagined. But just personally, when I meditate, I like to imagine that I am in a large white space, and there is me, and there is the two sides of my personality. I have male traits and I have female traits, and those work together. And then behind them, I have a row of all of my emotions, and my emotions all work together to help me to navigate the world. Now, I see in my mind palace, I always see positive pride as a knight, and a knight is representative of a entity that is there to defend you when you need defending, and there are certain like good times for pride. If you have pride for a good cause, such as supporting the gay community or trans rights or anything like that, that is awesome. That is great pride. And like, if you can have pride in things that you are, things that make you special, and that's really awesome. And I definitely see positive pride as a defense. Now, what I see negative pride is that I have a deep belief and a deep rooted theory that fear is the basis of, as far as I've known, all negative emotions. Or fear takes takes the good sides of emotions, or the good uses of emotions, and warps and twists them into something that is negative. And so I see negative pride as fear coming in and infecting that sense of defense, that pride and that righteousness, and then also fear taking control of your anger. And negative pride really is a combination of fear, pride, and anger, all kind of being mixed together. And from what I've learned, fear is always calmed and abated by love and understanding. And so in my quest to combat my pride, and believe me, I'm an extremely prideful person. I have a very fragile ego. I've actually a couple times called myself a narcissist, although I don't know if that's true. But I
don't
think
think it is entirely true, but sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I think that or whenever I have a negative pride, I always have to remind myself that I am special and I have things that are good about me and that I'm loved by people. And that is very good at combating the fear. And one thing I talked to Michael about this earlier, but one thing I actually realized today is that fear at its base is based on a lack of control. You are afraid when you cannot control something, because when you can't control something, you can't create an outcome that is positive for you. When you don't have control, there is a chance that things won't go right, and so fear is very like based in that, I would say.
Yeah.
Also,
we just covered a whole lot of ground there, by the way. So I have several things I wanted to say, but we've
Oh, go ahead. Jump off of
Yes.
anything I said.
Yeah, well, where I guess do I even jump in? We've gone from war to fear, which is not entirely misdirected there. I kind of actually wanted to touch back on the thing you started with your meditative stuff about the masculine and feminine side of things, because it's interesting that you're sort of touching base on. Have you ever heard of the Hermetic principles, which I guess we'll call them that because that's what they call them, but it's really based on I don't know what it's actually called, so I'll call it like neo Hermeticism. It's like the 20th century occultists and not the actual writings of the like Hermetic stuff from the Greeks. But they have a series of Hermetic principles in a text called the Kabbalion. I may be saying that incorrectly, but the 7th Hermetic principle is the Hermetic principle of gender, which I am now looking at it here so I can just read it. But it's basically the idea that masculine and feminine principles are present and active in all phases and phenomenon in every plane of life. Essentially, that gender is like one spectrum which contains both sides instead of as like a polar opposites. So I just was curious, I guess, how you view that, since you touched base on that briefly.
I honestly don't know anything about the Hermetic principles from
okay, so you don't necessarily have to know about that, but I was just touching on how that is in alignment with that. That's something that I guess I find to be true. But it's basically, what do you think conceptually of that gender not being like male and female, but or being that, but that not being like two opposites, but basically like it's like an energy. It's like the direction of energy. Like you could call it positive and negative,
Yeah.
but not in the good and bad sense, in the polarity sense. That's sort of the same sense of what gender being.
It's like
So like
different
it
states of water.
right. And so you can put yourself on that, but technically you are the entire spectrum and not just where you find yourself on the spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure. And I mean,
Oh, I guess yeah. Like, if, touch on what where you were going with your thought of the masculine and feminine sides of yourself
I was
is
just
what I'm
gonna
asking.
say I like how you're talking about that, and um me, since I have since I have autism. For those of you who don't know, I have Asperger's syndrome. One thing for people who have autism is it's much easier to understand concepts if we can relate it to something else. And so I like that I was able to relate it to states of water. For example, there's gender
Hmm.
fluid people. They are like a flowing river where one day they can be like, I want to exhibit more masculine traits. And the other day they can say, I want to exhibit more feminine traits. Um, uh, People who are specifically masculine or feminine are like ice. They want to stay in one place and be who they are, and that is their identity. And then like being non-binary or not wanting to be like related to any of it is kind of like being a liquid, being a gas.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's like I guess only one facet even of what I'm talking about, because there is sort of the popular notion of gender nowadays and gender identity. But this is, I guess, an even broader concept than that, just because it goes well with that concept, but it's sort of extending gender into every concept and every facet of everything. It's sort
it
of
does
like
extend farther than
a
that allegory.
because it's kind of like the sense of like the breath, you know, how it's like the in breath and the out breath, which is two opposites, but that's one single breath. So it's like breathe in, breathe out, still one breath breathing is one saying that you can use. And it's
Exactly.
sort of the same concept. It's extending that metaphysical structure of uh, to everything in that regard. So it's breaking it down from a idea that starts in like human gender, which could begin, you know, people begin their exploration of that with like, we've got the idea that we were given when we were children, which is just there's a boy and there's a girl and there's and that's it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like the conceptual side of that spectrum, and that there's where we've evolved to as a society for some people, and for others they don't want to break free from that, and it's sort of just like that concept but on the level of multiple other things. So like I could be talking about something that is entirely unrelated, but you can still use the structure of that concept to explore other things, if that makes any sense, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice,
So,
nice.
but then there's, I was just, I guess, branching off into that because then also like the idea of pride, you're looking at it in a positive pride and a negative pride sense. And in the same sense, in the spectrum I'm talking about, where you could call it the gender of the, it's like the polarity of the spectrum that you call pride, which you're looking at it as good and bad, but would it necessarily be good and bad, or just like the complete picture of the totality of pride, you
That
know?
is okay. That is true, and I like it. Okay, I don't know if I can say I understand where you're going with that, but then that gets into muddy water because
Right.
then we are saying if there is not negative and positive pride and it is all just one concept or like one thing, then we're saying uh, that people can't like judge pride at all, because then in essence what we are saying is we are saying Martin Luther's pride in being an activist for civil rights and Donald Trump's pride of saying I am all powerful, I can do what I want, neither can be judged as good or evil. And if we're saying what you are saying, then that is saying that both of those are equally all part of pride, which to be honest, on a theoretical level, they are all. It is all pride. But yeah, they also have to be separated into this is good pride and this is bad pride, or else we run into a situation where we say we can't say that arrogant pride is bad.
And I wanted to let you play around with that a little bit there before I interjected it all, because I didn't necessarily entirely eliminate the judgment possibility from the spectrum. I simply drew it as it does create the situation where what you're judging to be a positive or a negative pride is a perspective that isn't universal. And I would say that that's entirely true. So where you draw the line isn't necessarily the entire truth about if it's positive or negative, but it's just simply how you view the spectrum of pride. But that doesn't eliminate your judgment of it or mean that it is not something that you should hold to be, you know. I'm just saying that it gives you a further picture of, like, if somebody's doing something that you think is a negative pride, um, that doesn't eliminate the entire mechanism of pride, and that doesn't mean you can't observe your own pride and use the same mechanism to understand what your pride is versus somebody else's that you see as negative. If you're seeing your own as positive, that it, you know, that mechanistically it's the same thing, and that doesn't remove your judgment call from it. I am, I guess, perhaps exploring it in the bounds that doesn't give you a definitive grounds to say this for certain is good and this for certain is bad. I am muddying the waters in the sense that it becomes your own perception of it, yes, and not a universal judgment of it. But
Exactly.
what do you think there is a universal judgment of it that we can definitively draw the line as to this is good and this is bad? Always. And
Um,
that's a very difficult
is
and
there
dangerous
yeah,
question because it
is
turns
there
into a lot of things of like, are you sure? What about this? What about that? What about that? And that is, I'm not trying to remove that or say that those things are or are not bad. I'm simply posing
is
the
there a
question.
universal line? I think yes. And I think the
Okay.
universal line is where pride is used to help people and support people, and where pride is used to hurt and harm people and bring them down.
Mhm. And so that is a good way of putting it, but I
Then
don't
it's
know if
about
everything's
morality.
so right. But then nothing is so cut and dry. So what if your pride sometimes hurts and sometimes helps?
I see what you mean. Because yeah, there are certain situations
So then
where
you're saying, yeah, like it's so
if you are
basically
helping
your own.
someone by hurting someone else is
Yeah,
what you're
and
saying.
so then you
Yeah.
get into really muddy waters there, and at the same time, like yeah, if you're helping somebody hurt somebody else, or what if your intentions were to help somebody and it ends up hurting somebody because the outcome wasn't what you thought it was going to be, you know? And so there's just a
Yeah,
very large spectrum there of the morality side of things. And that's, if somebody murders my family member or something, I'm not going to be like, well, it could have been a positive pride because of this, that, and the other. Like, I'm going to be pissed and I'm going to see that as a wrongdoing. Absolutely, 100%,
exactly.
But
If someone murders your family,
what if they were convinced that by murdering my family member, they were doing somehow a net good in the
yes,
world,
that's exactly what I
you
was going
know?
to say.
So I'm saying it's two different perspectives and what they were thinking that led to the murder. What I would absolutely judge as wrong in my book, no matter what. Where do you find what their motivation that led to it? Like, how do you judge that? Because their perception of the right and wrong doing is ultimately what caused the situation in the first place. And what if what they did help? But what if it ultimately them killing my family member actually helped the whole world positively? Like, then how do you judge that?
Exactly.
But I'm
No,
just opening
I
questions more than providing answers. I'm not
and
saying I have an answer here.
and honestly, that is what we have to come to on this show sometimes, is that sometimes we might ask why, but sometimes there isn't an answer. There isn't a clearly defined answer. And if I've learned one thing in the past 3 years of my life, it is that life is so much about the gray area. And sometimes
Hmm.
you won't have an answer. You won't have control. And if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The best phrase in the world for everyone to hear, the phrase that would heal the world, is "That's okay."
I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. It like, you're not going to be in control. You're not going to know the answer. That doesn't make you stupid. That doesn't make you dumb. That doesn't make you less of a human being. That's okay.
Right. But and I'm just breaking it down into the more broader concepts behind it, because like we can still tie back into like that what you were saying about fear and all that,
I
and
mean, the
how
fractal,
that
you could go on talking
can
about it
be.
forever and never hit
Oh yeah,
an answer.
well good, then we're gonna have plenty of episodes.
Yeah. Every episode, we're talking about pride.
Yeah, well, no, but I'm just saying,
No.
like if you were talking about to tie back to your previous statements about fear and that possibly being the influencer over something being positive or negative.
Mhm.
Yeah, is that what you said? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like,
Oh,
so
fear being the yes, the driving force behind positive versus negative pride.
yeah, so you could include that in what we're talking about as well, being like, you know, the
Oh yeah,
determining factor for yourself as to if it creates
and
fear
maybe
or not.
that's the line, is your pride based in fear? Is your pride based in lack of control, or is your pride based in love and affirmative action and positivity?
Hmm.
Or not?
So
Is
then,
your fear based in that? Is your pride based in love and affirmative action and positivity? That's what I mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, if we're going to go all the way back to where we started, which is with Donald Trump and all that, then what would you say his pride is rooted in?
His
Do you
pride.
think it's
Okay.
fear?
Okay. Let's look at this. Let's break this
Yeah.
apart. Donald Trump's pride, based on the things he does with it and the things that he says, his pride is based in his pride, I would say, is based in fear. because here's a big question. Here's a gigantic question. What is Donald Trump most afraid of? Donald Trump is most afraid that people will stop liking him.
That's kind of where I was going to go to. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
People will stop liking him. He's also, well, I mean, he's lost so much money in his life. I don't think he's afraid of losing money anymore because he knows he can make it back up. But I suppose he's a little bit afraid of losing money. But I mean, I think his fear is based in what fear is based on. He is afraid that he will lose control of everything. Donald Trump right now is Loki at the end of season 2 of Loki, if anyone's ever seen it, and he is desperately holding on to every single thread of his precious little life because he knows if he slips once, every thread is going to snap and he's going to lose control of all of it.
Yeah, do you think that's like entirely what's motivating this war though too? I mean, then, and just the pride regard, because it's obviously far more complicated as to than just pride being the cause of this, but it's the one area we're currently exploring.
What's motivating the war?
What do you think? What's motivating the pride that is what we were saying was leading to the war?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yes.
What's motivating the war is and every YouTube, Spotify gonna hate me for saying this. What's motivating the war is the Epstein files.
Oh, I agree with you fully there.
Yeah.
We were just exploring the pride side of it, I thought, but I mean, there's obviously, yes. Yeah. That's part of it. That's not the whole thing either, though. There's a lot of financial
it's not the whole
ties
thing
to
but
that incentivize it as well.
I feel
but
like
that is definitely one way to get us to stop talking about or to focus less on that. Yes.
Yeah. I feel 100%. Like the start of the war was to make people stop talking about the Epstein files. I feel like continuing in the war is I feel like continuing the war is like, hey, I started a train down a track. It's got tons of fuel, and there's like a broken bridge at the end, but I can't stop now. I can't go back, or else Donald Trump says I can't stop this train now, or else my public image looks bad. And that is what he is most afraid of. He is afraid that his public image will be ruined. He is afraid that people won't like him. And that's the basis of having a gigantic ego is having pride and having a gigantic ego is based in a fear that people will not like you. And
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a primal fear right there. I don't know why I did the money symbol, but that is a primal fear right there. And that comes from when we were just like Neanderthals and cavemen and stuff like that. The biggest thing that protected us from animals and the elements was numbers. If you were part of a group, you were safe. You knew your lineage was going on. And if you were ever kicked out of the group and exiled, you knew you were dead in a matter of days. Mm-hmm. And so that's where that primal fear comes from is people, and not even Donald Trump, people are so afraid of being ostracized and being kicked out of the group. And even though some people won't admit it and they'll say, oh, I'm not afraid of being alone, everybody is primarily afraid of being alone, because if you're alone, you are relying on yourself. You have no one to help you if things go bad.
Yeah. But also, like, that is not part of it. But he's at a level
where it's not off, like, by the way.
Yeah, please do. I don't know if you could say fear being alone is the strongest motivator, but it is. I mean, that's obviously all part of all of this, but there's definitely a lot of fear that plays in it. If you want to go back to the Epstein thing, like the fear of whatever whoever holds that blackmail, even though a lot of that's out in the open, there's still probably people with hands on it. Like, is there a fear of that? Are you listening to other parties that are influencing this decision to have a war because of things beyond that are not seen in the public eye? There's definitely a lot of financial incentive too. A lot. I mean, we could go on about that for hours, but it's not like everybody else on their podcast isn't already talking about that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. Here's something big to
Like,
talk about. Here's something big
yeah.
to consider. Let's flip the script. Let's look at it a different way. Why is and I know people are going to hate me for saying this because it's anti the societal hive mind thought right now, but why is the Ayatollah not just giving in? And like what is the Ayatollah afraid of? I mean at this point, looking at it, the Ayatollah is a guy who just got put into power, just got given a lot of responsibility, just lost his father, and now the man that killed his father is ordering him to give up the most precious resource that he owns. And so the Ayatollah is a cornered mouse. And as you know, a cornered mouse will fight back like a tiger. And I think that is a lot of what is going on. And I think that as a new leader, that he's not sure how to make good decisions and good calls just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that I guess the level of geopolitical knowledge I would need to assess that is probably beyond me at this moment. So I couldn't tell you why exactly they would keep going in the face of the most well-funded military probably in the history of ever. But like,
and I mean, it's sad,
yeah,
but the truth is that
it's true.
it would be smarter to just give up and let America walk all over you. It would be smarter. It just wouldn't look good at all. And there it is.
Yeah.
Another being afraid of public image.
How
Mike, you are lagging.
am I back? There we go. My internet went out for a second.
Okay.
I was just telling you the internet's so good, and then it dropped. What did you hear last?
You were about to start talking.
Okay. Well, I guess I was just saying
public image.
Yeah, I was just saying that, like, I mean, I don't know enough of the geopolitical stuff to really touch on it, but like, there's a lot of factors that we don't see behind this. A lot of things pulling strings and all that we don't, as the public, have any knowledge of. So I couldn't tell you exactly why or what's going on or what. I know there's a lot of people that serve to make a lot of money from.
I mean, is it two men just
one
posturing?
of these wars? So what?
Is it two men just posturing?
Very well could be.
Okay.
Very well could be. It could be beyond this. They could be in cahoots with each other, but I'm not here to. I don't.
Two men going. I have the bigger pants.
I don't have enough information. I haven't done any research. I don't have. I'm naturally skeptical of large affairs like this because the information that makes it back to you and I isn't necessarily exactly the information that of exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be in their best interest to ever tell us exactly what's happening. So
one thing I appreciate about Trump, in the very few things that I appreciate, is that at least through True Social, he doesn't hide his feelings from us at all. Like, we at least know what he's thinking, and based on what he has done and what he has said, we get a very clear picture of where his mind is at. But you're absolutely right. There's no way to tell what the new Ayatollah is thinking besides just considering what we know about classic psychology and philosophy.
yeah, and like our history with Iran, I mean, I'm again not super massively informed on it, but we have kind of a long history with. They were a faction that we were friends with in something like the 80s, I think. And then they swapped, yeah, what was it? So yeah, we installed a CIA backed coup and put our own prime minister who was in charge until 1979, and then the whole hostage crisis thing, and they swapped powers with the Iranian Revolution and all that. So I mean, we've only really had the modern Iranian government since roughly the 80s, you know.
See, that's what I don't know anything about is the history of
Right.
leaders of Iran.
And a lot of the material, the equipment that they have, like the F-14 Tomcats and all that kind of stuff, we gave it to the government that we were friends with, and then it just turned hands, and immediately it was against us and things like that. So there's a lot of the stuff behind the history in the whole Middle East that actually just stems from our involvement in it, thanks to World War II and the booming of the need for oil and everything. So there is a good, large, significant chunk of the conflicts going on in the Middle East that were a direct result of us either trying to get resources or trying to stop the Soviet Union by giving money to another group of people and having a proxy war, you know?
True, true. Well,
So,
that
I mean,
is
it,
yeah. Well, that is all really good stuff. We're about 3 minutes off from the 1 hour mark, so we filled quite a lot of time talking about
we
this.
did, and we could still keep talking. So, like I said,
Yeah.
like, you know, just point me
We'll,
in a direction.
we'll have more episodes for sure. But yeah. Once again, if you have any insights on any of this, if you have any comments, questions, make sure to put them in the comments below, and we might pick your comment. We might pick your question, and read it on here and talk about it, and all of that stuff. Definitely remember to go check out my other channel, AfroX. Michael, is there anything you would want to plug?
Currently, no. Come back for the next episode.
Currently, no. Yes, come back for the next episode, which will probably have a better title for. I don't know.
Yeah. Next episode, we'll let Uriah get going for another 20 minutes, and we'll have more my ideas, and then I'll just come right back with how it all ties together.
Exactly. I honestly have to say I really liked how this episode came out. Starting with talking about the news and then getting into the psychology of the news, and we didn't really touch.
This was basically a giant ADHD conversation, is what it was. We went all over the place and came right back around to where we started.
Exactly.
3 times. So.
Tangents of chaos.
Exactly.
And we didn't really get into philosophy, but we'll probably get more into that in other episodes.
There'll be plenty of time, yeah.
Yeah. God, I really want to hit the 1 hour mark on this, and we're like 45 seconds away. So I'm going
shoot, you shouldn't have cut me off. You should have let me keep going for 30 more seconds.
For 30. I am so sorry, Mike.
No, that's okay. What kind of... I don't know.
All right.
I need a bit. You need a bit to do.
Well, that
Watch me
is
juggle with one item.
juggle
Wow, look
with
how
one
impressive that
item.
is. Nobody's
Wow.
ever seen anything like this. There.
Impressive.
Where's that put us now?
15 seconds, so now I have to speak
15
fast.
seconds. All right, I can flip my pen.
Come
back next week.
Come back next
have a
week
different pen.
where we will be talking more about politics,
Or next
philosophy,
month, or like
and
2 weeks,
psychology.
or 3 weeks, or we don't really have a timeline quite yet.
Yeah, we don't have a timeline
Next
quite
time.
yet. Yes. All right. This has been the Great Minds Podcast. We don't know the ultimate question, but the answer, as always, is 42.
Peace.